these two girls. The guys in the vehicle.
Ho! You try to hit me? Did you just try to hit me?
Biggest question. You all want a prostitute?
100%.
I just said I rang people up with, they gave me money and that was it.
On June 18th, 2024, at a TD Bank in Orlando, Florida, a woman in medical scrubs tried to cash a forged check for $3,390. It was the third check on that account that day, tripping the fraud alert.
Who is Marquise to you?
She's a friend of mine. I'm about to be evicted with my 2 kids, and he told me he would help me with my rent, and that basically I just have to go in, cash this check, and that would help me with my rent.
How long you know?
And for a couple months.
Is your only job serving?
I'm not getting enough hours. I'm working 2 days a week. It's not enough.
You knew this was a fraudulent check?
I just knew that they were writing me a check.
That you knew was fraudulent?
I don't know. I don't know where they got it.
You showed up here in scrubs with a stethoscope, and your only job as a server, you knew what you were doing.
No, I just did what they told me to do. All I did was get in the car, and I was just expecting to...
He picked you up from work?
From my house.
What?
From my apartment.
He picked you up from your apartment?
Yes.
And y'all drove all in the land?
I just got in the
Well,
car.
I will tell you that
asked
this
me
is
to
the
do.
third check that has been cashed against this account today.
In his account?
In this account, off of this account, that's why it triggered
So
the
he-
teller to...
He hit so many other, so he probably hit another
This was the third TD Bank he hit to.
Third TD Bank.
It's not me. Am I gonna be arrested?
Most likely. You can't come in here and cash a fraudulent check.
I know, but it's not me.
And then you admitted to it.
I mean, I'm just trying to tell the truth. That way I'm not going in
Yeah, but
trouble.
honey, you walked in here and told me that you did work as a nurse for these people. You know that this is a fraudulent check. There has been a ring of these fraudulent checks going around of these savings bonds.
Copy, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh,
realize.
no, you good.
So we actually just got some the other day. So everyone knew the feel of the check, the writing on the check. So the teller told me right away,
Keep your beehive over here.
come look at these checks. That's when I called you. We had him sit down. He went to go leave. He drove away with him standing out there. I guess he drove past him.
Okay.
Then when I came back in, the teller called me up and asked me to come look at the check that she just had. And then she's saying that the person that dropped her off here left her.
It's the same person.
And what car was he driving? The Buick?
I think it was a Buick. That's what
What
the
color?
looked like. It was like a burnt orange kind of color.
Burnt orange car?
Was it like a SUV, sedan, or was it like a hatchback?
Yes,
Okay. Do you know, like, did it look newer or old? Sorry.
She said SUV.
Yeah, SUV.
You were older,
Newer or older?
because the screen was all like touch screen inside.
Okay.
and it was a sedan or an
Being
SUV.
honest and truthful and giving you the information from the source is not going to help me at all. Like, I'm still gonna, like,
In court, it might help you.
but I can't harass me.
Won't help you now.
And she's confident it's an SUV.
Call
No
him?
matter what, my boyfriend.
No, not your boyfriend.
So no matter what, I'm getting arrested today.
Most likely. Call him.
Is she telling us who the person is that one? It's a guy that she met a couple months ago and was giving her a ride.
Hello.
Hello?
Are you good? Like, you're not detained. The police aren't here. Everything is good.
I can tell you right now, frauds are not my strong suit, so I am doing my best.
So because you guys had me come in here and do this fraudulent shit, now I'm going to jail.
So you can't leave.
I cannot leave.
So who are you in the office with right now?
The officer.
So if something you didn't have knowledge of happening, you go to jail.
Because I came in here and a disguise that y'all put me in with a check with my name and told them the story that y'all told me to tell them, and now I'm being arrested.
I can't just come there myself.
It doesn't matter. Yes, I need you to come.
I don't know how I'm supposed to do it. I'm not even over there.
Oh, what am I supposed to do?
Tell him you're going to jail if he don't show up because of his fraudulent check.
I'm going either way.
Yeah, both y'all can go.
Oh,
You want to go for all of it?
no.
Okay.
If you don't come here, I'm going to jail for you.
I'm coming back, bro.
Ask him how far out he is.
How far are you?
I'm literally nowhere near that city right now. I got the Got it.
Alright, well, how far?
Feeling that everything you were saying wasn't really that's what I was trying to figure out if you were detained or not. Because that would let me know where to stay or go. If you told me you were detained, I would have stayed and we would have just switched places. But you didn't tell me you were detained or arrested. I didn't do anything about that because you told me you weren't detained or arrested. If you told me you were detained or arrested, it would have made more sense. I have no knowledge of what's going on right now. Okay. This is all.
Tell them you're going to jail. So you better come back.
Well, I'm going to jail for your check, so can you please come back? How far are you? How far are you?
I don't have GPS right now. I just got out of there.
So how, an estimate or something?
We got a hold of the guy driving the burnt orange vehicle. He wouldn't explain exactly where he was at, but he said he was going to come back. So just in case if he does, I was just trying to see if someone could be in the parking lot.
Thanks.
Hey, Grandma. I'm being arrested right now. I need you to pick the boys up for me today. I'm being arrested. I need you to pick the boys up for me. Because I'm stupid. Because I'm trying to get the money to pay my rent, and I went to the bank with a check that wasn't good, and I didn't steal anybody's money. I was given a check, this guy that I know, and it's not a real check. So I'm being arrested for fraud. I'm all the way in DeLand, and I need you to get the boys today from school for me. Bye.
Alright. Can you look at me for a second? I'm gonna read you your rights, alright? Alright, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand each of these rights that have been read to you, and are you still wanting to talk to us? Yes? I need a confirmation.
Yes.
Alright. So walk me from the beginning. From when they picked you up all the way up to now, to how we get here.
They picked me up, and
When they picked you up, okay. So was this planned before they picked you up, or they just said, hey, I'm outside?
I mean, I knew they were coming to get me, but
You didn't know what for?
I knew that it had something to do with going to the bank. But they
What
just,
bank?
I don't know.
So you knew they were picking you up, and you knew you guys were going to the bank.
I didn't know that I was gonna be going in trying to cash a check.
Okay. You knew they were picking you up, and you knew you guys were coming to the bank. What else did they tell you before you got in the car?
That's pretty much it.
That they were picking you up so you can go to the bank and help out with your rent?
Yeah.
And when did they make you put the uniform on?
I live in Apaka. We were almost to the I-4, to get off I-4 in Altamont when they started talking about scrubs, going to the store and getting my scrubs, asking me what size I was. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't know anything about that. And they were like, that it just looks more official. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I was kind of just going with whatever they were telling me that they were doing.
Okay.
Because I'm desperate. I need to keep a roof over my kid's head.
All right.
But yeah, we got the scrubs. He paid for them.
Okay, so Marquise was the passenger and Marquise's friend was driving. All right, and then what else happened when they get? Okay, so they said we're gonna buy the scrubs. It looks more official. Put them on.
Yeah.
And you put them on.
I mean, I didn't put them on right away, but yeah, when we got to the bank.
When you got here to the bank.
Well, he pulled up like across the street and like a plaza right there with like Little Caesars. By the Fairwinds.
You pulled
by the Fairwinds.
Pulled up by the Fairwinds, the Land Plaza. Okay.
Wrote the check and basically told me put those on. This is what you're doing. That's not at all what I left my like.
Okay, so he pulled into the Land Plaza, and that's when he told you to change it to the uniform because it looks more official. And he handwritten.
And then he handed me this.
Okay, and he handwritten the check.
The one driving.
The one driving handwritten. Okay.
Gotcha.
Did you guys do a ruse with them that we're here for something else?
No, he's aware that she is detained and possibly going 10-15, so she convinced him to come back to talk to us.
How long am I gonna have to stay there? Will I be able to get bonded out today? Or do I gotta wait for court to be bonded out?
You can get bonded out today, but I don't think he's a true friend because if he told you to come out and do this and he said he's going to take the rap for it, I would have been back ASAP. especially with you having 2 kids.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I'm so sorry. I'm just joining this. I'm halfway. Yeah. I'm joining in this halfway through, okay? From what I understand, this check is fake. You knew this check was fake.
I didn't know anything.
You didn't know anything.
No, I just knew that this was someone trying to help me get my rent paid so I'm not evicted with my children. And I'm at the point where I'll do almost anything to make sure that my kids don't feel that everything that I'm going through to keep the stuff going.
When he told you to get dressed in the shrubs and he wrote the check for
I
you,
mean, at that point, I obviously figured.
what did he say to you when he wrote the check and gave it to you?
He just said to go in and tell them this. This is what he wrote. This is what it
What
is.
did he tell you to tell them?
That I'm a living assistant, that I take care of someone's mom or something, and
Which is not true, obviously.
no.
Start heading back that way.
No, you should be alright for right now. I'm not even entirely sure he's coming back. He didn't sound too convincing.
All right, so he told you to come in here and act like you was taking care of somebody, taking care of a live. Okay. At that point, did you know the check was fake when he gave it to you before you walked into this bank?
I figured.
So he wrote it for $3,390. And then obviously, did he have the scrubs or did you?
He got me, I was in my clothes, he picked me up, and I'm just riding with them thinking, I don't know, I'm just going with the flow, and then he said, you gotta stop and get your scrubs.
She says a man named Marises offered to help with her rent. The help meant cashing his check. Pressed on whether she knew it was fake, she retreats to "I figured." The driver of a burnt orange car then sped off, leaving her stranded inside the bank. Under Florida Statute 81022, uttering a forged instrument means passing a forged document as genuine to defraud. It is a third-degree felony, up to 5 years and a $5,000 fine. The man who wrote it faces forgery under 831. The whole case turns on one word, knowledge, and her own answers supply it. Officers had her call the organizer under supervision. He stalled, claimed he never knew she was detained, and promised to return. He never came back for. Under arrest, she calls her grandmother to collect her kids. Her rights are read informally and late. Under Miranda versus Arizona, warnings are required once a suspect is in custody and questioned. So, her earlier words invite suppression. A detective offers a sworn statement, framing her as a struggling mother, not a mastermind. Florida Statute 170.C-26 once lists a minor participant role and a remorsefully isolated act as mitigating at sentencing. A judge may weigh in her favor at sentencing. She is cuffed in front for comfort and walked out discreetly. Her phone is seized for a warrant, the step the Supreme Court requires for phones under Riley versus California. Investigators believe the checks are part of a fraud ring. 3 months earlier in Flagler County, a loss prevention investigator watched a trio sweep children's clothing into bags. A surgical mask was taped over their license plate. What began as a roughly $200 theft was about to turn serious.
I was like, what do we need to stop and get these scrubs for? And that was when he didn't even fully explain it. He had like 2 phones on the phone with different people. Like, I was just sitting in the back, just writing, like, whatever y'all tell me I need to do so I can pay my rent. I know Marquise for a couple months. The guy driving is Marquise's friend. I don't know him. It's my first time seeing him today.
And they're in a
I
burnt
don't even know
orange,
his name.
burnt orange SUV?
Yeah.
What about this white Mercedes?
I don't know anything about Mercedes.
Okay, but he did say to you on the phone that was the Kraken.
Well, because my grandma's calling me again. Can I answer my grandma?
No, this is important. You're looking at felony charges right now. I'll be honest with you, okay? It's called uttering a forged document, okay? So this is probably more important than what Grandma's got to say.
I mean, I was just asking her to pick up my kids from school, so that's probably why she's...
Okay, tell her to pick up your kids, tell her you're
She
probably
said
going to
she
jail.
would. I told her I was getting arrested.
Okay, then answer. Only because it has to do with your kids. I got kids, so...
Can I see that?
So that's what I was
The check?
I'm working on getting you a copy, third check.
Almost
So there's this
$3,400.
and then there's another check that was cashed.
What TD bank did he cash this one?
Grandma, I'm talking to the cops right now.
So he cashed
Alright, but
a couple, cashed like 2 before this.
At this bank?
No, he cashed 2 at other TD banks.
In Gland or somewhere else?
Other one was like on their way
I
here.
believe the other two were in Orlando.
And that one has his name on it. This one has her name on it. Because they
Understood.
sent her in here to act like
Are they the same check numbers and all that?
This is University Boulevard.
133.
Obviously, you know that Orlando PD, that has to go through them because that's their jurisdiction and all that. So,
Well, I'm just more or less giving this to you as far as information.
yeah.
Still, there was 3 checks that were
absolutely, yeah. But for like reporting purposes, and we can give you a case number, and we can even fax this over there as far as like a case linkage, because obviously it's the same people, so it's going to be a case linkage. It might even be a statewide prosecutor because it's through multi jurisdictions, multiple.
And if the 2 are connected,
No, that has nothing to do with it.
This is from the white Mercedes.
Yeah.
Let me just be perfectly clear with you right now. There is no way that I believe that these 2 incidences are not linked.
They're not. I promise on everything
You
I
said he was
put.
on the phone talking to people, right?
Not to so
He had multiple phones. He's talking to people. 2 people don't walk into a bank at the same time. I mean, that was just
No, it has-
that would just have to
very
be like
ironic.
lightning striking
Both
twice.
with a fake check. They walk in and they just leave you sitting here.
I get that, but whoever that was, I never see. That
You didn't have to see him,
I know,
but-
but he wasn't.
it might not be something you're knowledgeable.
Yeah,
Right, you
you're
may
not.
not know. These guys may know, but you probably don't.
Because they just left you sitting
I
here.
mean,
like-
right away, as soon as you said that, they're dealing with somebody else, and he said to you, "Oh, they're dealing with that crackhead." He said that.
I don't know.
So he knew. How would he supposed to know what we're
And they
dealing with?
It's
both left at the same time. My cop showed up, everybody leaves,
It's
you're still
because-
sitting here.
They went to a TD with me in the car right before we came to this one, and he was walking out of that TD too. And then I told them when I got here that I seen the same guy that walked out of that one here.
And you think that these 2 things are completely by accident?
I don't know.
You don't. I'm just asking you to think logically. I'm not saying that you know, right? I'm not saying that you have some master plan in this. I'm just asking you to speak logically. Think logically.
I don't know.
2 different people.
This might be the car.
Okay, 2 different people committing similar frauds over multiple jurisdictions, just so happen to be leaving at the same time, and you think that's an accident.
I get how it looks, but like I said, I have no knowledge of
I got you.
anything.
The only thing I'm asking you for is if you have any names of these people, which I know you
All I
already
know
gave
is
Maurice or
Marquise.
whatever, Marquise.
Marquise.
And he's supposedly coming back here?
So he said.
I got you.
I want her to
He's
walk
not
across the street to the
driving.
Family Dollar
He's not
and
driving
Uber.
the car. I don't know who the guy is driving the car. Marquise was a
You knew he was going
passenger.
to say that. You knew he was going to say walk over to the Family Dollar, and that's what happened.
They've been texting, so. Did he say he's coming back when I walked out? Did he say?
He was gonna come back, but he was trying to figure out a way back.
He ain't coming back.
Because he said he had to
I
switch
guess
cars.
he was trying. All I can imagine is that he's not trying to have whoever's driving the burnt orange SUV, the one that's his friend, come back. He's trying to get out of that car and find a way here so that whoever that is, like I said, I don't know his name.
I got you. Let me ask you this. Would you be willing to write a sworn written statement about what happened? About this is this guy that you met 2 months ago, that he picked you up today, that he took you to the scrub shop, that he took you to these banks, that he told you to put the scrubs on, told you, everything that you're telling us, would you be willing to put it in writing on paper?
I'm not still in trouble.
Well, yes. I don't have the ability to make felonies go away.
After everything, she finally felt remorse and realized that her own naivety was a kind of poison. Her regret, though late, was genuine. However, her tears and stories about family struggles can't serve as a legal excuse for blindly trusting a stranger. The things she needs to face must still be done before her hands are restrained from doing anything at all.
But what I can tell you is that
This will help you in court.
cooperating suspects.
That's what I've been trying to do the whole time.
No, and I appreciate that. I'm asking if you'll put it in writing. That's all I'm asking. I'm not making you any promises that it'll lessen. You're not lessening any trouble you're in today. It's just for the future, right? For when this goes to trial, do you look like an accomplice to a master scheme, or do you look like a girl who's trying to pay her bills so her kids don't be homeless? You know what I'm saying? What do you want to look like? What picture do you want painted of you for the jury?
The truth.
The truth, right? So will you write the truth for us and swear to it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me go get a statement for him.
Okay. Pick up my keys again?
See if he'll come back, but other than that, we ain't gonna be waiting here all day.
This is an organized fraud scheme out of Orlando. I'll be honest, it'll probably go to like a statewide prosecutor. I say we take her phone.
Yeah.
CID will probably want to do a search warrant on it, in all reality.
I'm good with it.
I'm sorry, but
He doesn't answer. It's not like.
My advice to you, once you get through all this, you don't need to talk to them.
Yeah, I don't plan on it.
You need to put this in your past and not ever do this again.
How old are you, darling?
24.
I'm not gonna say I know how you feel because I don't have kids right now, but I do have one on the way, and I'm not in your shoes. But
I have to do everything by myself. I don't get any help, and I've just been stuck for the last 2 months. I just paid May's rent. I was just about to be evicted in May. I just paid May's rent June 7th, and I already got an eviction notice for June.
so they got you on a month-to-month. That's what it seemed like.
I mean, I have my lease or whatever, but they give you 30 days from the day that it's late, and then after the 30 days, if you haven't paid it, then they'll put in the note. Then they'll put in for the court to evict you.
And then once you pay it, it'll go away, and then you were late again for the month of June, so they
get another 30-day notice. So I have until July 7th.
How much is your rent?
Right now, with the late fee, it's almost $2,000.
Okay, how much is it before the
$1,750.
$1,750?
I'm a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom, but like everything's included. So
Do
other
you
than my
get-
lights,
Yeah, you don't get help from the children's father? Are both of your kids from the same
they're both
father?
from the same guy. I don't get help from him
All right.
at all. Honestly, I'm just like each time you.
Oh, I got you.
We were never in.
On and off, I got you.
So what I want you to do is fill out all this information up here, and then here you're going to start your statement with everything that you've told us, okay? And then this is a secondary page for you to write on. You get to the end of here, and then, mention where y'all went, where the vehicle that you were in, the fact that you saw that white Mercedes that the other team
I didn't see the white Mercedes. I just saw the guy. I didn't know what color.
Okay, so
that's
you saw the
what
guy.
came in.
But you saw the guy. Okay, yeah, mention that in there. All of everything that we've discussed today, okay? It might be a lot. If you need another one after that, just let us know. We can get you another one.
Local is not local. Just put my address.
Yeah.
Your local address.
Connect them or do the two
Yes.
separate?
One case number. This is all one incident.
What's my address?
Those are the original documents that they tried to pass. So
Can I get a copy before you take them?
Yep.
And may I get you to put your information down here? Oops, thank you. I apologize for that, but we have to do our own reports and
Yeah.
everything. And
We don't
I
have
have to get,
the name for the other guy, do we?
that's fine. Unknown.
I know, okay. Oh, his
Here we
name
go.
is on, that's his
Yeah,
real
the
name?
county and everything.
Oh, he has an account?
Oh.
Can I get all his information in?
Huh?
I know, I thought he put his fake name, I thought he put like somebody else's name on it.
Yeah, that's what Fernandez was telling me outside. He was like, nope, put 100% his real name. Fernandez looked verified that it's actually him because it's the guy that obviously he saw. So he verified it's him and it's the same name that's on the bonds. We can get you more water at the police department.
I'm gonna put him in front because we're gonna be sitting in the car for a while, alright?
And you're being cool with this, so.
Yeah, you have. I don't do this to those people.
I'm just trying to be as. I'm not lying about anything. I'm just trying to be as.
And we understand that, and we appreciate it. You just got caught up in an unfortunate situation, okay?
That they left you in.
I know.
Sorry, just here. Turn your wrists to face, kind of, there you go.
Boom.
Alrighty. We're gonna walk you out and try to get you in there quickly so that way it's not embarrassing, okay? You don't have anything in your pockets, right?
No.
Okay, we're gonna have someone check whenever we get back to the police station, but we're just gonna get you in the car real quick, okay?
What's larceny?
Oh, you got 2 warrants.
Huh?
For larceny.
What's larceny? Is that
3 warrants.
huh?
All for theft. It's crazy, bro.
Oh,
It's like I
larceny.
know what I'm doing with myself.
On March 12, 2024, in Flagler County, Florida, what started as a petty theft turned into a heart-pounding high-speed chase. The suspect's car sped down the streets as if it were a racetrack, only to realize they were racing straight into the arms of the law.
Come here, Pat. You run, you're in trouble. Run, you get in more trouble.
These 2 girls. The guys in the vehicle.
Oh! You try to hit me? Did you just try to hit me? Foxtrot 64, they're taking a 1031 in the white Toyota. Stand by for tag. They just about hit me. Foxtrot 64, they got the tag covered with a medical, same as what we just had. They're heading out
US, or excuse me, 100 now. They have to make
a right-hand turn heading towards Belterre.
What charges do we have?
Flee and elude, light sirens were activated, and as he backed out, he almost hit me with the car.
Do you have aggravated assault and law enforcement charges?
Ashton 4.
Foxtrot 210, pursuits authorized. We drive you the vehicle.
10-4, pursuits authorized.
$322, let's have Vanilla Polo. They went that way. And we have RTCC on traffic cams.
Foxtrot 64 Flagger. Tell RTCC to look for the white Camry. It's going to have a light blue surgical mask over the top of the tag, similar to what we had yesterday.
The vehicle is going towards 100 from station 92. They were behind a church.
LE primary.
They turned back around going towards the fire station. They're still on aviation. Alright, I'm coming to the area.
10-4, we're landline with somebody that has eyes on.
6134, I think I have the vehicle over by BJ's construction site now. Heading eastbound. I need you guys to stay off the radio. We're about to go south onto Seminole Woods.
Southbound on 7.
Turning, making a U-turn now, going back towards 100. First character is a Bravo, last is a Sierra. Coming back out on 100, gonna be going east.
Gonna be going east on 100.
I got sticks at Dodge dealership. I got sticks at the Dodge dealership.
He's coming up in the right lane right now. Coming up to Dodge now.
Vehicle crash to Amico. Vehicle forward Amico.
Get me K9 here now.
The chase ended swiftly, but not quietly. Some suspects resisted arrest, while others made desperate runs for freedom. Yet no matter how fast they were, they couldn't outrun the shadow of justice. The game was over, and they were the ones who lost.
Get on the ground. Lay down on the ground now. On the ground! On the ground! Get down on the ground! Hands behind your back!
Bull crap!
Show your hands!
Okay.
Down! There's still one in the woods over by you, Scotty.
Get over here to me now!
I'm trying to get...
Get up! Are you underwater?
I'm trying to get up.
Do you have anything on you?
No, sir.
Come to me now!
I can't get up.
You better figure it out! I got one coming to you!
10-4, perimeter southbound on ramp. 1034.
As deputies moved in, the driver backed the car toward an officer, who barely avoided being hit. In Florida, that supports aggravated assault on a law-informed officer under statute 784.2, 784.784.07. The crew fled, and a pursuit was authorized. The chase ran through intersections, tracked by a helicopter and crime center cameras. Aggravated fleeing under statute 316.1935 is a second-degree felony, up to 15 years. The car left the road into a pond, and all three swam out to deputy. The deputies gave clear commands and held the K9 in reserve. A cross-gender pat-down used the back of the hand, and injured suspects got care. Recovered goods supported grand theft under 812.14. Resisting fell under 843.02 once they fled the car. The lesson is brutal arithmetic. A petty $200 theft multiplied into a stack of felonies. Grand theft, aggravated fleeing, assault on an officer, and resisting almost entirely because of one's choice. The decision to run instead of stop. The third case needed no chase. At a Family Dollar in Florida, a cashier rang up about $150 in goods as one 59-cent item, then took $50 to $100 in cash. Loss prevention caught it all on video.
Come this way, female. Go up funny. Come towards me. Let me see your hands. Keep coming towards me.
Come on.
Who else is it?
What's that?
Gonna call her up to you.
Okay.
Man, keep coming.
Put your phone down. Put your phone down. Put it down. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Shouldn't have ran from me. I saw you run, really? I'm the guy that you...
Everybody else in the car.
Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Yeah, there's 3.
You want to go to the car?
You hurt?
We hurt. We hurt pretty bad.
We hurt. We hurt.
I don't split my hands.
Knees to your chest.
Oh.
Knees to your chest. Okay. All right, stand up.
Okay.
Step back with me.
Wait a second. Yeah, step down behind cover.
I got the merchandise that she dropped. Oh, that's our driver right there. Yeah, shouldn't have tried to hit me.
If you're inside the vehicle, step out now.
I didn't try to hit you, sir.
No, but you dropped that bag. Took off running. Up against the car.
Good. How many more people?
It ain't no more, sir.
That's
it.
it.
Just, yeah, I was just laying there.
I didn't see who bailed out.
It wasn't nobody else.
What were you guys thinking? You know you're in Flagler County, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, obviously you're going to learn now. We don't play like this. Not even close. Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad for you. Clean right up here, because I got all the stuff you just stole that you threw on the ground.
I didn't throw that on the ground.
Yeah, it's funny. I got it all on my camera.
Yeah, you do. That with me, sir.
That's what I need to say.
Yo, you come back. Can we get a K9 to our position at the gas station?
10-4, he's almost there.
7 July 34 status check.
Have a seat. Big room. You have plenty of room to get in. Alright, I'll get all that out of your way. I got one.
Sir, it ain't nobody else over there.
Okay. Well, we have to do our job. All right, let's get in the shade.
Get my wig for me.
Yep, we'll get it.
We don't believe there's anybody else in the vehicle, but it's a really good creative situation area for us to get down and then figure you're almost here. We just have to swing to the side. So
Lean up against the car for me right there.
Oh my leg.
Forward. I know it's female, so I'm going to pat you down with the back of my hand.
Okay.
They're saying there's only 3 that we got all of them. It's a tough spot to clear, so we're just waiting for the dog to go so the crew will there.
All right, go ahead and have a seat. Which leg is it?
It's this one.
Left one, right one?
Yeah, it's this one.
This one?
Yes.
All right, I'll help you put it on.
We've done a bunch of announcements already.
Okay.
But just throw a couple more announcements out there before we head down.
Okay, sheriff's office! We're in the car! Come out now! Okay, sheriff's office!
Occupants of the white Toyota Camry. This is the Flagler County Sheriff's Office K9 unit. Surrender now or you will get back.
All right, you guys want to move on it? Let's move on it. Yeah, we're good. Let's stop. Go ahead.
What do you do first? I'm going to
Back here.
Watch your car. Yes. Watch your car. Yes. Go ahead.
Hold on. Boy. Boys. Yes. Oh, man. Yeah, buddy. Oh, man.
There's still outstanding.
Still outstanding?
We got all 3.
Oh, just 3?
Yeah, I need all 3. Just 3.
So this is what the drone looks like.
And this is what you do all the time.
Did you make contact with the store at all?
Yeah. As soon as I heard this go out, they were coming right back by me.
Hey, can you see if my head split at this? It feel like I'm getting a concussion. It feel like I'm going blind. Is my head split, sir?
No, you're not bleeding or anything. Okay, do you want to see my med?
Please.
Okay.
Bishop. All right, ma'am. Let me. You're gonna go with this young man, and I'm gonna go to the store and make contact with the managers.
Could you see if I drop my phone in the car for me?
No.
I mean, yeah, when you get a chance, I just want to call my mama at least for her to know what's going on.
I should have thought about that before you went on your little grand stealing spree.
Transferring her to him. Okay. I'm gonna head to the store.
All right. Yeah, start getting all the paperwork.
You got it.
As far as the shoplifting and all that.
Okay.
All right.
You got it. Cool.
me see. Just then toss this on you real quick.
Jefferson.
Do you have your license on you or is it in the car?
It's in the car.
Oh, you got a warrant
For me?
for larceny.
What's that? What's larceny?
Oh, you got 2 warrants
Huh?
for larceny.
What's larceny? Is that
3 warrants.
huh?
All for theft. It's crazy, bro.
Oh,
It's like I
larceny-
know what I'm doing with my job. Jesus Christ. Here's what happened. 15 cars later in a helicopter, we caught them. We caught them because they can't really drive very well, and they drove the car off into a pond on the other side of BP. So they all had to swim to us.
I heard the helicopters and I heard the cops over candles. I feel terrible.
Why? We
I
don't,
mean,
this Flagler County, we don't play.
so they took 38 candles? So
Can you ring that up? And then
$1,000.
I could tell you just from, I'm not the one doing your arrest report for you running from us, but you're going to be charged with aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, fleeing and eluding with wanton disregard, resisting without violence, reckless driving, and then whatever shoplifting charges come.
So let me explain what happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
So
I'm
I'm an organized retail crime investigator for this company.
Okay.
I came up here to get some video for the state's attorney.
Okay.
While I was looking at that video, I saw them come in. They started grabbing all kinds of kids' clothes. At that point, I went outside when they pulled out bags and concealed, waited for them to come out. My boss said, "How much is it?" I said, "That's about 200." He said, "Well, just try to get the vehicle tag info." I said, "Well, there's a PPE mask covering it." And I said, "And now they're parking in front of Bath and Body Works." He goes, "Go ahead and call." So I called you. You pulled up, and you tried to stop them, and they ran. I pulled behind the car and yelled, beeped the horn and yelled to you that the guy's trying to get away, and they tried to run you over.
Yep.
So I followed after them, kept them in sight, and I lost them back.
Glad you did. Did you see where we ended up getting them?
Yeah, well, no, but I lost them at the fire station, and she said, "That's okay, we just picked them back up."
You saved the day.
Yeah, 15. Just before we're trying to for one next week.
The TJ Maxx here too? Yeah, and Bath and Body Works. Anywhere else? No, maybe.
So who was the second person that had one? Was it Tierra or was it the other guy?
Yeah, it was Tierra.
Yeah, that's 100, but how much did the customer pay for? 59 cents.
Oh, you called me. What's going on?
Good afternoon.
How are you?
We have an employee is being under ringing. Like she will charge $1 and let the customer leave. It's about $150 worth of merchandise. Multiple times during the month of January, multiple times in the month. Actually, a little bit in January, multiple times in February, and the last one was on some. I interviewed her. She's sitting in the back, wrote a statement, recording a statement. She admitted to what happened, and we just called you guys.
Do you have any evidence of this? Videos?
I got full, and I got a recorded statement that
I can't use a recorded statement. He's not issued her rights, so I can't use a recorded statement.
The statement I took it, and I didn't have to read her right.
Yeah, but I have to under court of law, under Fourth Amendment.
Understood.
Okay. All right. Do you have a tally of how much she actually took?
We still haven't finished.
How old is she?
The age is 21, 22.
Hurry up, you fine, take that 16.
What are you? I'm right here.
This is Tina.
Hello, Tina.
This is the officer.
How you doing? You have an ID on you?
It's in my purse.
Where's your purse at?
Front my ring.
I'll go get it.
Okay.
It's under the...
Okay, I'm pretty sure the store manager knows what it is.
Roger, come on. Under this LP is back there.
What's going on?
So, I'm gonna get my LP guy too.
Okay.
How you doing? Deputy Paul, yeah. What's going on?
Pretty much as I explained, since the beginning of February, she pretty much knew people from Facebook and regular call, and she's in a tough situation with her family. Figure, I let you take the merchandise you want. All I need is $80 coming to me in cash, and I will under-ring every other item. So it will void the items or not even ring it. So you can see transaction when she at the invoice to zero, or you can see when she only scan a lollipop, 35 cents, $1, and then you see like a full buggy leaving the store for them.
Do you have the videos each time, date and time?
Yes.
Do you have a laptop or anything I can view it? I can look at it?
Right now in the screen.
Yeah.
You also have, there's also a log of everything, right?
Not everything,
so far what you
Some
got.
of the stuff is not logged.
I'm gonna talk to you for a minute, but I don't want you to start calling everybody and start showing up here. And
Ain't nobody gonna show up here, but I'm not just finna. I can't get in contact with my fiance. I'm not just gonna go to jail and nobody knows where I am.
I'm not saying going to
Trust me,
jail.
I'm a convicted felon. I already dealt with police so many times. There's a reason y'all came. I'm not stupid.
Well, someone makes a complaint, I have to come. I have to investigate. Okay, so that's why I'm here. Do you understand? So just give me a second.
Which one can we pull? Read it to me. 3-5.
At 1325.
3-5 at 13. $25.
Years ago, 2 females were the bonds, so they would, every customer after it was get a coupon, like $1, $2.
So this is one of the transactions. All those items. How much the transaction? Yeah, that's 100. But how much did the customer pay for? 59 cents.
So over 100.
Over 100 on that particular one.
59 cents. So what was the date?
The day over there is March 5th at 12:21.
So 5.
That will be Sunday. That will be the last transaction.
12.
What's the next one you got? 3. What time?
1956.
Are you able to pull the receipt? Okay.
And give it, or the link that you guys send, if I can upload it to the file.
So
that customer paid you 59 cents.
This is another customer that paid 59
what was the
cents. March 3rd, Sunday, and 1956.
The other one was March 5th?
Correct.
And this one is March 3rd?
Yeah, we're going
3rd.
Biggest question. You all want a prostitute?
100%.
What was the time?
Time is 1957.
So
this is a lady with the pajamas. There's over $150 in here or more. And how much is she paying? 9 cents.
150.
What if we calculate her? We look at the product over 150. Yeah.
So she says she's been going through some financial difficulties.
That's what she say on the video. I mean, on the recording and during my statement that she was doing it for her kids.
For her kids. Okay. And she would let him go, and then they would give her money.
Yeah, I guess they know her from the streets.
Okay.
So they know to come from the area to come to directly, and then they will give her the money in a little piece of paper, $50 to $80 a pop. And I have a reading statement if you want to read it.
I think we have enough. As long as we have all the videos.
Yeah, we will send us the link.
What's going to happen is, for prosecution purposes, we need expertise to explain all that to the state attorney's office. Okay, I'm going to need your information.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to her real quick and then...
Okay, no problem. Let me give you... Save this and I need a case.
No problem. What's the book we're talking here? Or?
Feel free, we can read if you want.
Yeah. Oh.
Careful.
Tina, can you turn around for me? Alright, so I guess they already talked to you. No, you can turn around and face me. I guess they already talked to you. Who's that?
That's my people. I need to know what's going on.
Okay. I guess they already talked to you, and you talked to them about what's been going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to get a statement from you and
It's the
find
same
out.
statement I gave them. I wrote it on the paper.
Listen, I don't know what they do. Okay, my job is I'm impartial. Okay, my job is to talk to you and find out what's going on. Okay, I need to ask you.
I got money from people and didn't ring them up.
Just give me a second. I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and I'm gonna, you watch TVs. I have to advise you of your constitutional rights. Okay, and then I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Do you understand? I need to ask you a few questions. Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol right now?
Weed.
You smoke a little bit of weed? What is the highest level of your education?
8th grade.
8th grade. Did you play any sports in school or softball? I'm required to warn you before you make any statements. I'm required to warn you before you make any statements. You have the following constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent and not answer any questions. Do you understand that? Any statement you make must be freely and voluntarily given. Do you understand? It's recording. You have to say yes or no.
Yeah, I just feel like if I'm going to jail, there's no reason for me to explain anything.
I want to say that. No, I have.
Going to jail, then I don't want to do that.
Listen, before I ask you any question, I have to read your rights. It's by law, okay? You have the right to the presence and representation of a lawyer of your choice before you make any statement and doing any questioning. Do you understand?
Yeah.
If you cannot afford a lawyer, you are entitled to the presence and representation of a court-appointed lawyer before you make any statement and doing any questioning. Do you understand? If at any time during the interview you do not wish to answer any questions, you are privileged to remain silent. Do you understand? I can make no threats or promises to induce you to make any statement. This must be of your own free will. Do you understand? Any statement can and will be used against you in the court of law. Do you understand? Do you understand those rights which I've read to you?
Yeah.
With those rights in mind, are you choosing to speak with me?
The only thing I got to say is if I'm going to jail, I don't want to answer.
Listen, so what I'm trying to tell you is that if someone says something, I've known you for, I've come here, I talk to you, whatever. I don't know anything about you. All I say is, hi, how you doing? I come to you, I purchase whatever I need to purchase and I walk out. I don't know. If someone says something, I need to know what happened. Okay? A lot of time people say, hey, did you talk to so-and-so? Yeah, she was nice. She told me what happened. She was having some issue, whatever. So I can present that to whoever I need to. So what I'm trying to say is that I can't just go by what someone say. I have to talk to you and get your side of the story. Okay? All right. How long you been working here?
October, November.
So you've been working since October?
October or November.
Okay. You're part-time or full-time?
Full-time.
Full-time? You work normally day shift, right? Day and night? Are you married? Have kids?
I have kids.
How many kids?
3.
3 kids. You like work?
Yeah.
Do you have any problem with anybody here? Roger is your supervisor, right?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any issue with him? So, like with the transaction, can you tell me like what's going on? Like, because I don't want anybody to come here and put a gun to your face and threaten you and whatever, and then we're gonna have to go hunting them down and find out. Just make sure that didn't happen, okay? That's why I need to get a status story from you to make sure that you're safe, that no one threatened you or anything. I can't hear you.
Nobody threatened me.
Okay. All right. Can you tell me what's going on?
I just said I rang people up. They gave me money and that was it.
So you charge them more, charge them less than what the value of the merchandise? How much you normally get from them?
This all depends. 60, 80, 100. Depends the person, I don't know. It's just different prices. I don't know how to explain the same shit.
So like between $50 to $100?
The detective feared he could not use the store's recorded statement, but the law is forgiving. Under Burdo versus McDowell, Private security is not the government. Private security is not bind it. So Miranda does. That recorded admission was very likely usable. His Miranda warning was complete and verbatim. She answered more than once that if she was going to jail, she did not want to talk. Under Burgess versus Tompkins, the right to silence must be invoked clearly, so that answer did not end it. Calm, patient questioning drew an admission. She rang people up for cash, neighbors she knew. Each underring is petty, but Florida law lets a continuing scheme be aggregated past the $750 grand theft line under statute 812.14. 3 Florida locations, 1 pattern, and every person charged. As such, case outcomes were not public at the time of this analysis. The charges and penalties here come from the footage measured against current Florida law, not from confirmed court records. The lessons are clear. First, fraud and theft cases turn on knowledge and intent. The word "I figured" can be enough to prove you knew, so what you say to police can matter as much as what you actually did at the scene. Second, free help from a near stranger that requires you to cash a check or carry a package is bait, not a favor. Seek legitimate, documented assistance for rent or bills. A benefactor who vanishes when police arrive was never helping you. Third, running never erases guilt. It manufactures new crimes. A misdemeanor theft became multiple felonies the moment the crew fled and endangered an officer. Fleeing and assault on police almost always dwarf the original offense. Fourth, your right to silence protects you only when you invoke it clearly. Say plainly, "I want to remain silent, and I want a lawyer." Partial silence does not stop questions, and a confession to store security still counts against you. And finally, the oldest rule still holds. If an offer sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is. In a world where trust is easy to fake, learning to say no is the cheapest protection any of us can buy.
These people that normally, like, do they know you or do you know them? Like,
They're
street, like in the neighborhood?
Around, yeah.
Okay. Like, do they know to come to you or how does it work?
If we're doing the same statement the man just took from me on a piece of paper.
What I'm trying to say is that I need
It's
to
either I know them and they just come in to shop there and that's just what I do. I don't call nobody, like,